Are you worried about artificial intelligence taking your job due to the exponential development of AI, automation, and robotics? Now, if that's the case, what you should really be concerned about, or the real question you should be asking yourself is, what will you do for a living if you weren't paid to do it? Greetings, everyone. We're Trace Scorch, and we've come with what we said we'll bring. Lately, there are a lot of job positions that has been occupied by the analytics of artificial intelligence. And a lot of people are concerned that their job will be affected by this. However, what they are not considering is that the AI agents are actually there to enhance our jobs, life balance, so that we can find a way to be more creative and actually get down to find out what our reality is really about. Because currently, the world is shaping is that a lot of people are just focused on money. We're all just trying to make money and solve some economical disaster. But the primary goal for humans as a civilization is to need to make ends meet and find money. However, that's not what we're designed for. We're innately designed to discover our spiritual prowess, our spiritual connection with the divine. And what you notice is around the world, that is not the primary focus of any sort of civilization or society. They're always either trying to fight war, or find peace in war, or create some kind of new GDP or new technology. No one is actually considering that our spiritual development is more important than everything material. And with the help of artificial intelligence, automation, and robotics, it gives us the room to actually discover more about ourselves as we're lacking in that area. And what the question that a lot of people are not asking is, what occupation will you be doing if you weren't paid for it? For instance, there's an idea that's been brought about the UBI, Universal Basic Income. And the thing about it is that what we should be talking about right now, proactively as a collective, is how much is that money going to be? For instance, what was suggested is that there should be a generic amount that everyone is paid to, regardless of their job position. For instance, a janitor will be making the same amount, a technician is making the same amount an astronaut is making. Because even the job of an astronaut is being supported with artificial intelligence. Even the job of a surgeon is being supported with artificial intelligence. So to a certain degree, there wouldn't be any such thing as hard work, just more about creative thinking. And now with the help of AI, we have more room to develop ourselves according to those who choose to. And in that development is the discovery of our divine connection. It's the most important thing in the universe, and it is quite alarming that humans are not actually focused in that direction. Even people in the religious spec, they're always praying to God about something. You're praying to God about perhaps money, perhaps a job, perhaps visa, perhaps marriage. But one thing a lot of people don't do is they're not looking for God. They're looking for what God would do for them. And that's the dichotomy. It creates this disconnection because there's something written in your Bible. You say, find first the kingdom of God and everything will be added unto you. And we find that that's like the most powerful verse in the Bible from personal experience, because upon discovering what humans call God, we discover that the reality is magnificent. It's the most amazing thing, and the fear of death ceased to exist in that moment because you realize that becoming omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent means becoming all that is. What you call God, we describe as all that is. So including your idea of God is under all that is, because when you say God, you're not contributing to the aspect of all that is. Everything is inclusive. There's no way outside what you call all that is. And in that is the fact that we are part of it. We're an integral connection to everything in the universe. Just as the tree is perfect, the clouds is perfect, each and every human being is perfect. But the thing is that everyone has the responsibility of their own development. And we live in a society where intelligence isn't valued. There's no reward for intelligence, even to the point that there's a certain level of higher intelligence and higher consciousness that your society frowns upon. There's a point you get to in your journey of intelligence that you become a threat to the system because the system is primitive. And the more you discover the dysfunction in the system, you become a threat to it, to the point that even the people in this system that are complaining about it even find you as a threat. They say no one likes a smart head. To a certain point, there's this part of the human body that considers it a threat when they're in contact with someone that is intelligent. And it's a bias, it's a cognitive bias, and you have to work your way through that part in order to discover more about yourself. And now that we're in a new dimension, like the shift of our dimension, you can sense it by how things feeling now. The way you feel right now is not the way the world felt 2 years ago. Even during COVID, it feels different now. This is to tell you that we're in a different dimension, and that means there's a different way to experience one another, a different way to express your creativity. And with AI, we have the opportunity to actually work less and focus more on that connection. And what we find out is that a lot of people who are not aware of that divine connection are going to be seeing this introduction or this exponential growth of artificial intelligence as a barrier to their job because their focus is on making more money. But that's why we bring the question again: what would you do if money wasn't a consequence? For instance, personally, I produce music and I will keep on doing that regardless if I'm being paid to or not. Then you discover that a lot of people start discovering their passion and become more creative in what they're innately designed to do. Like many people say, what's your purpose? You're trying to find your purpose, but your purpose is simply anything you define it to be. But you become good at what you practice. And if you're spending all your time just making ends meet or trying to get the bag, you wouldn't have any chance to discover that innate divine connection. But you have to get out of that survival mode first. And this is why it will take a society, it will take our environment changing, shifting from this material perception, this ends to make profits, this corporate desire for profit, to morph into a collective desire for evolution. And that's when we can actually help each other discover the divine. For personally, each and everyone have the ability to go through that journey personally. But what we'll find is that a lot of people barely take time to sit with themselves for an hour without engaging their devices, both their physical devices and their familiar devices. It's almost difficult for people to sit down and meditate because they have bills to pay. And despite the fact that this is understandable, if you really understand what you're really missing, not connecting to all that is, you realize that everything in society, everything you know, is trash in comparison to discovering divine. Now, we're not saying this from a religious perspective, merely even from the scientific perspective. It's from personal experience, and it's something that is practical. And what we're advocating for is for people to kind of just try give themselves the opportunity to dive into the idea that there's so much more to reality beyond making ends meet, beyond everything material. And the more our dimensions shift to get to the point where we are less corporeal, in the sense that the physical body is not a consequence of experiencing reality. In other words, as the planet is shifting, the planet becomes a tool for us to use to experience the divine. Because what we call the planet is not a ball or a rock in the space. It literally is not even moving. It's a holographic construct that our collective consciousness is monetarily designing in real time. So there's no idea of the past, there is no projection for the future. You just experience the present moment. And when you look at everything in society, it's either people are recreating the past or they're projecting the future using past events, thinking that the present is a result of the past, but that's not the case. The present is not a result of the past. The only time you can experience what you call present, past, or future is right now. Even what you're looking forward to in the future, you can only experience it right now. So it would be beneficial if everyone practiced being in the moment. Because when you look at all the whole discourse in society is drawing from past events, because people are under the impression, or because there's this appearance that the past is the result of the present, but that's not the case. There's this appearance that, oh, because they read a book 4,000 years ago, telling certain people that they are a certain speck of chosen people, they have to become so much dysfunctional to the rest of the people because they read a book. But that's really far from it, because they are not living in the present moment. If you look at reality in the present moment, not drawing any idea from the past, not drawing any trauma from the past, and experience the moment right now, you realize something, that there's so much peace right now. And they say a lot of people suffer, 90% of suffering is from your mind because you're thinking about the past or you're worried about the future. But the moment you stay in the present moment, you discover that there's a peace in there. Now, if you can dig deeper or or try to stay in that moment longer, there's actually ecstasy in there. And in that ecstasy is the discovery of our omnipotent, omniferous identity. as us being one with everything. What you call the soul is what is literally materializing all of reality, and we're not in reality. That's why we say that this reality is not, it's not objective, it's subjective. There's no such thing as objective reality. The idea that people have is that we're all existing in this rock, spinning in this galaxy around this burning hot fire called the sun, and everybody's just walking around to make ends meet and try to get this goal or try to buy this new material thing. But that's not what it was all designed for. It literally, reality is subjective, that each and every one is literally in their own dimension, and we're all coexisting together. And when you look at it from that direction, you realize that you don't need anyone else to believe in what you're believing, because if you do, that means you don't really believe in what you're believing, because otherwise you wouldn't anyone to support that belief. And if you continue from that perspective, you realize that there's no reason to be upset about the actions of someone else, whether it's in the past or in the present, because they are actually experiencing reality from their own point of view. And it's all based on their own belief system. And each belief system comes with its own sect or its own pact of other beliefs. In other words, if you believe in that idea of that a belief, or say, for instance, let's use a religion. If you believe in, say, something like um any dogmatic religion, or any idea, literally any idea that you believe in, it has its own attributes that surrounds that belief system. In other words, there's a kit that accompanies every belief. So in other words, say if you believe in, how do I put it, if you believe in God, then you believe there's a devil, because the idea of God comes with devil and all the angels and all that whole sect. So the belief system is all an attribute. It's a compound effect. So anyone that has any belief system draws with it other belief system underneath it. And in those belief systems, they bias against one other faction or any other creed. They are not actually compromising, they're not accompanying all the ideas that everyone's belief is inside the same belief. In other words, you have people who are Muslim, they have a discord with those who are Christians, and those who are the Jews, they consider everyone else as infidels or as trash. This belief system is what is actually, it's making reality such like a caricature. Like, people are not seeing the real thing because they expect everyone else to believe in what they believe, because they have this idea that reality is objective, that everyone should believe in this same thing, that we're all inside this box. But that's not the case. In actuality, you're the only one you're the only one experiencing reality, and everyone is a figment of your imagination. And if you go with it from that perspective, you realize that the moment you change how you see things, the things tend to change. It's kind of like magic, and it's very practical. And the moment you apply it, you'll see it for yourself. The moment you become very kind to yourself, for instance, you realize that everyone else is kind to you. But the moment you're bitter to yourself, you have this negative self-talk, or you're always so dysfunctional and rude and aggressive with yourself and the world around you, realize that it seems like everyone else is that way, because you're simply projecting reality from your own point of view due to your own belief system, and whatever emotion you're feeling is as a result corresponding to a belief system that you have. So the moment you realize that, once you believe in all that is, and see everyone as a piece of divine, and everyone is doing the best they can with the information that they have, seeing reality from their own point of view, you tend to give people a little break and be more kind with yourself and others. And that's the aspect of development that we as a society, as a collective, haven't gotten to yet. There are a lot of people still seeing things in black and white, but we're about to tell you that if you're seeing things in black and white, we're about to introduce color to you in this new dimension. And a lot of people will find it difficult to correspond with the reality in color if they've been living in black and white all these years. But, beloved, color is coming. In fact, color is here. And it's going to be magnificent. It might be strange for a while, but be patient and be kind to yourself, and understand, most importantly, that there's so much more to reality beyond the material. You're a piece of what you call God, and that divinity is inside you, and you haven't discovered it yet. You haven't opened the box yet. And to a certain degree, it's going to be exciting when you open it, you realize that, Trace was right all along. We hope you get to that point. However, if you still want to live in the old world, yeah, you have the choice, you have the free will to. But to those of you who are actually feeling the vibe, that, yeah, perhaps we can feel that the vibe is changing, everything is all going to become better. And the only way to enhance that and make it more beneficial for you is to be patient, be kind, and learn to be in the present moment. Stop drawing, recreating the past or projecting from the future. Just be here right now and be patient. There's a reason why we're all here at this time. There's a reason why you're seeing this. And to those who think that certain people shouldn't be around here, then what you mean that the universe has made a mistake to put you here? And that's not the case. So it's an interesting time. Like we said before, if you've been seeing the world in black and white, you're about to witness color. And we'll be here to guide you through the process. We love you all. Namaste.